Hi, my name is Meg Edwards and I'm a GTD coach, and we're doing a series on GTD for beginners. And in this part of the series, I'm walking people through the weekly review, and I'm doing that in a way of breaking it up. The get clear, the get current, and get creative part. And I started with the get current part, which was 4 videos. So this is video number 5. And what I'm going to do now is talk about the get clear part. Now, what's really interesting about the get clear part is you're trying to get clear pretty much almost every day, right? You are, capturing your loose papers, your meeting notes, things like that, putting them into your in basket if need be. And then you're trying to clarify and organize all of your inputs, your emails, Slack, texts, paper. You're trying to clarify and organize that every day, which takes about an hour to an hour and a half of clarifying and organizing. So you've captured and then you clarify and organize on a regular basis, as often as you need to, so that when you're reviewing your list, you've got a good inventory of options to see when you're going to, engage in your work. So what happens is that if you're not spending enough time getting clear on a regular basis, you come into your weekly review and you're like, how am I possibly going to navigate this in an hour and a half that I have allocated for my weekly review? Because I have hundreds or thousands of emails, people still have paper. I've got a lot on my mind and it's pretty daunting. So that's why I had you skip over that part and start with the get current part. Okay. So how do you tackle the get clear part? Well, I think that for this particular video, I'm literally going to skip down to the mind sweep so that if you go through the steps of get current, at the end of get current, then ask yourself, what's still on my mind? Because you've cleaned up your calendar, previous calendar data, upcoming calendar. You've cleaned up your actions lists. You've cleaned up your agendas and your waiting fors and those things that you need to do when you're by yourself. You've looked at maybe any checklists that you have that might remind you of some actions that you need to take, that either people have them or don't. Don't worry about it if you don't. And you've looked at your project list to ensure that there's at least a next action for each project. So now you can just say, again, is there anything on my mind? Now, the issue can be, and the problem can be, is that you still got all those emails and paper and meeting notes, et cetera, Slack and, what I just talked about that might be on your mind. So that is certainly kind of the case because you haven't finished the get clear part. So I just make a suggestion here on the mind sweep. Ask yourself just a couple of questions. One is, did anything wake me up in the middle of the night that I didn't capture? Is there anything that's drifting that really needs my attention? And really just those 2 questions might be enough to take a moment and say, what really, really has my attention? Now, write it down and then clarify and organize those. And if nothing comes to your mind, that's okay. We do have these personal and professional trigger lists that might help you be able to trigger anything that might be on your mind. So you might want to take a look at those. You don't have to capture everything that's had your attention since you were born, right? It's like you can over capture in this stage. So that's why I think just kind of be gentle with yourself and just really ask yourself those questions, or maybe there's some questions that you like to ask yourself that's really top of mind so that you're not just really, really digging deep. And then you're just creating, more work that really might be on your projects on hold or your next actions on hold list or your someday maybes. And then just, go gentle with yourself on the mind sweep. I think people feel like they've got to do these just full swooping mind sweeps. This isn't necessarily the opportunity to do the natural planning model on a project because you have so much on your mind about a project. Maybe that's an opportunity to schedule some time to go through the natural planning model, which is chapter 3 of the Getting Things Done book, which is a way of really beautifully fleshing out a project that might need a little bit more attention than just grabbing the project and the next action. Because if it's still in your mind, what more thinking do you need to do or could do to get that project off of your mind and feel a little bit more in control? So what I recommend is now to add that part to your weekly review. And in the next two videos, I'm going to be talking about paper and emails, which is the first and second step of the weekly review. So be gentle with yourself. I know I've said that several times in this video, and overall with the weekly review. A little review is better than no review. We used to think, a long time ago that, at least I did as a coach, that it was kind of all or nothing. But you can really chip away at getting clean and current so that eventually you're going to be able to maintain weekly reviews on a more regular basis. For more GTD resources, please visit gettingthingsdone.com and David Allen's YouTube channel. For more information on GTD coaching, please email us at info@gtdfocus.com or visit our website at gtdfocus.com.